Super Mario Bros. 35 is a fantastic game with the potential to be one of my favorite Switch games of 2020. But before that happens, I have a few suggestions on how this game could be further improved. So today, let's talk about the genius of Mario 35 and a few ways Nintendo could plausibly make it even better. Without further ado, let's get started. Hey there, I'm Carno, and I gotta admit, I was pretty surprised with Mario 35. When it was announced in a Nintendo Direct, the first thought that crossed my mind was, hey, isn't this the game that Nintendo struck down a few months ago? Beyond that, I was certainly interested in the idea, but not quite jumping with excitement. See, as someone who grew up with consoles like the GameCube, I'll admit I often find it hard to go back to early NES games, not through any fault of their own, but just because we've come such a long way since then. And Super Mario Bros. Is no exception. I mean, I respect its difficulty, great level design, all that stuff. And for sure, I've completed a couple times over the years, but for the most part, if I want to play a Mario game, I'll usually play something else. So really, how enthralling could this game be? Really enthralling, actually. For those of you who haven't played it, or are watching this after March 2021, Mario 35 is, or was, a battle royale game where 35 players would each play their own instance of Super Mario Bros. The difference, however, is that instead of racing toward the finish, your goal is to defeat as many enemies as possible. Doing so will send them to other people's levels, and the person who survives the longest wins. The entire system is actually pretty similar to Tetris 99. The difference, though, is where Tetris 99 is all about employing strategies and hoping the targeting system doesn't decide that it's time for you to die, Mario 35 offers a bit more strategy and a lot less instant death. What I guess I'm saying is it leaves a lot more control in the hands of the player. But to those of you who are tempted to just camp in one spot, Nintendo's one step ahead of you. You see, instead of individual level time, you actually have a master timer that is constantly counting down. The only way to fill it is by defeating enemies, and the longer you stay inactive, the faster it ticks down. But if that was all to the game, I wouldn't be praising it like I am. Like I said, you're in this game with 34 other players, and each of them is working to survive as long as possible. That means trading sometimes insane amounts of enemies at any given instant in an attempt to knock each other out. You can do this manually, but thankfully for people like me, there are automatic targeting options. You can go for people with the least amount of time, the most amount of coins, those who are attacking you, or you can just pick your victims at random. I usually go for people with the least amount of time, but I sometimes go for the defensive route too. This whole system is also enhanced with the implementation of coins. As you collect them throughout the levels, you'll be able to spin a roulette, which gives you a random power-up. Maybe you'll get a fire flower, a POW block, or maybe even a star. These can really get you out of a sticky situation, especially when you get to the later parts of the game, where you'll be battling random Bowsers and Hammer Bros in the middle of a water level. Oh, and if you defeat someone, not only will you steal their time, you'll also steal their coins too, hence why the option exists to target the richest players. However, these roulettes aren't cheap, costing 20 coins a spin, so you can't just spam it to win. What all this results in is a game that encourages you to not so much speedrun the levels, but to play them as productively as possible. Sure, you could go through the secret route in 1-1, but that won't give you as many enemies to fight and send to your enemies. However, speaking of 1-1 brings me to my biggest issue with this game. See, when you first start a match, you'll be asked to pick from a list of unlockable levels to be added to the level pool. Or at least that's the presumed way the system works. Now, which stage you pick comes with a bit of strategy. Sure, beginning levels are easier, but later levels give you more powerful enemies to send to other players. As good of an idea as this is though, what Nintendo didn't take into account is that everyone will always pick the first 8 levels over and over again. Maybe if you're lucky you'll get some World 3s and 4s in there, but for the most part, these are all anybody picks. And considering you only unlock levels you've played, it feeds into this never-ending cycle of constantly playing the same levels again, especially 1, 1, and 2. Another issue is that by playing the game, you add to your overall coin counter, but unfortunately, there's not much you can spend your earnings on besides power-ups that you're given at the start of the match. And these boosts are pretty cheap, so you probably won't feel any impact. Okay, so now I say my pros and cons with this game. Here are 6 ways Nintendo can make this game a masterpiece. First, encourage more people to select harder levels. If people have more incentive to pick later stages, they may be inclined to take the risk, although you'll still have people who pick 1-1. Maybe by playing the second half of the game, you could send more enemies to other players at a time. For example, defeating one Hammer Bro would cause 2 to be sent out. Nevertheless, it should lead to more diversity in the level pools, or at least help balance it out. Second, allow us to unlock levels manually with the coins we earn. And while you're at it, allow us to buy more player icons. Just give us something more for us to do with these coins we're collecting. Tetris 99 had something similar with the tickets you earn unlocking new backgrounds, so maybe they could do something similar. Who knows, maybe Nintendo is working on an update or something, but for now, I'd like to see this problem fixed. Number 3, give us another mode or two. What I'm thinking is a race mode. It'd be the same basic principle, but once everyone collectively picks, say, 8 levels, everyone races against each other while still sending each other enemies to deal with. What's more, they still have that timer in the corner to balance speed and caution. Besides that, maybe they could add a 1v1 mode or private matchmaking. It'd be a great excuse to sell a physical copy, and they already did just that with Tetris 99. Fourth, and this one should be obvious, don't take this game down after March. This is a great concept, and I'd like to see it stick around, even if it becomes exclusive to NSO members from the 6-month period. Like, basically what I'm saying is, even if you decide to pull it from the eShop, at least allow the people who own the game to re-download and play it. So far as I know, this is one of the few games that uses servers instead of peer-to-peer connections. Having that smooth online experience is something that will encourage me to play over something like Smash. And if they pull the plug for some dumb reason, like that's when their AOL trial expires or something, that'd be a real bummer. Anyway, my next idea involves the length of multiplayer matches. Sometimes they're perfect, lasting only around 5 to 7 minutes. But sometimes when you're playing against really skilled players, the last 5 players can extend the game time to 10 minutes or more, most of which are spent decimating hordes of enemies and waiting for somebody to mess up and be eliminated. Yes, you're sending waves of baddies around and the clock is going like crazy, but so long as you're patient, it isn't too hard to stay alive. But maybe at the 10-minute mark, the person with the most time could win by default? If I'm being honest, I personally don't see this as the greatest issue, but I know a lot of people do, and I can see why. Last but not least, here's my biggest idea. You know how Battle Royale games have seasons, right? Well, what if you implemented that concept in Mario 35? Like, say until March 31st, everyone plays Mario Bros. 1, but then, for the next few months, everyone switches to stages from Mario 3. After another few months, maybe it could be Super Mario World next, and after that, new Super Mario Bros. I understand why they started out with the original game since it's probably the simplest to adapt, but seeing how popular the game has become, I think the development would be justified. It'd also give new players experience with some more of these classic Mario games. Besides, wouldn't it be so cool to have essentially a new game to play every few months? I mean, you're doing the same thing with Mario Kart Tour every 2 weeks. Since they've modified these styles in the Mario Maker games, it hopefully shouldn't be too hard to port over, although that's me speaking as an outsider. Maybe it'd be way too complicated, but if I'm being honest, I'm sure Nintendo has the resources to make it happen. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I want just a bit more complexity to this game. Sure, simplicity can be good, but adding more power-ups and environments would really help break up some of the monotony that builds up after a few hours. Of course, this all assumes they won't pull the plug on the game after March, but I'm really hoping Nintendo reverses their decision. I mean, who knows, they brought back Pikmin 3 to the Wii U, so at least Nintendo showed they're capable of listening. So yeah, those are my ideas on how Nintendo can make Mario 35 an even greater addition to the Switch's library, and it hopefully won't even be too hard. And really, if they do update the game, it could probably top Tetris 99 for me. But anyway, let me know what you think of my ideas down in the comments. And while you're at it, be sure to add some of your own. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.